What made you? Were you sharing the same value as them?
Yeah.
You know, that it was okay for them to screw other people's, but not you.
Yeah.
You know, or you just thought that he was going to hold his business relationship with you at a higher standard, higher level, and therefore he was not going to go to screw you over.
Yeah.
I'm Antonio Zanalato,
And I am your co-host, Jacob Saldana.
and I'm here to serve men who are seeking more out of their life and themselves, men who are ready to dive deeper and do the work. In this podcast, we will help increase your curiosity in order to live more of an examined life,
To live with integrity for yourself and others.
and to accept the things in life that you can control. Our goal is to help you bring out the warrior within you. Welcome to the Warrior Lab.
What up? Welcome back to the Warrior Lab. It's Wednesday. It's Jacob Saldana checking in.
Antonio Zanalato, what up, guys?
Today, conversation is going to be around kind of us, I guess, changing our mind or changing the narratives that we once thought to be true, maybe, or how that looks. We can use maybe let's pick an age, just say 20. 20 years old. Sometime in between that. What's one thing in your 20s that you knew to be true, or you thought was fact, or that you really screamed from the rooftops that you either changed your mind or you no longer kind of carry that story with you?
Oh man, you put me on the spot here.
Too many to choose from, or
Actually, Truth to be told, there are way too many to choose. However, probably one that comes to mind. As soon as you asked that question, first thing that came to mind was my the narrative I had around the total absence of outer force.
like something outside yourself, like
Higher force, yes, whatever that may be. And that my destiny was solely based on my action. The outcome of my life was solely based on my actions.
Gotcha.
So that was the belief that I brought into my 20s. And that helped me. That allowed me to roll up my sleeves and say, okay, I am the designer of my own destiny, therefore I have the power, the sole power to create that, to shape that. And it worked until it didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Because now, in the process, I lost my art. I turned into these, I used to call myself assertive, right? Hyper assertive when I was, in essence, just an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? So now without going into too many details, between then and now, I went through a few transition with identifying where the higher self was, with today standing, being the universe as we speak, and we, some of the transition that I experienced. I shared some of those with you as I was going through them.
Yeah.
But in essence, what I learned is to let it go of any control or manipulation and just focus on being in alignment with my art. In alignment with my art, honoring my art, and having the higher force serve me in alignment with that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Like, stop forcing outcomes, stop manipulating stuff so you can create the outcome that you may have an attachment to it. Move away from all that bullshit, right? Move away from that. I want to say bullshit because that may matters to someone else at this stage in their lives, and let it go of that and just focus on listening and being in alignment with your art.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. So now you are a lot more open to these. There's still, a lot of components in your life that you do feel like you're in control of, right? And now you're also open to some of these things that, could help influence and point you in the right direction. And as we get older, hopefully we hone in more of the skill of being able to kind of reflect upon where we are. So like back when you were 20, that was the answer. That it was probably, you never thought that it was going to change or evolve to this. Do you think you have, do you think you can maybe identify something that you're doing right now that as of right now feels like you're never going to change, but that it could be? Is there anything that like 20 years from now that you're going to look back and be like,
my motto is, as a matter of fact, is the only constant in life is change. So I'm not attached to whatever I'm believing today, because there is a good possibility that it may be different tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it may be different 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So I don't have any attachment. I just know that whatever I'm believing right now, it's serving me in this present moment.
Yeah. So,
right?
So you're less attached to these narratives and these stories. So, I guess that's the answer to that question, is that there's nothing now that you're so dead set on as being truth that, so I guess there's nothing that can't change, I guess, what I mean? So
no, and I know that, and there is, and it's also a fine line here. I want to make sure that the audience understands that I'm not just drifting with the wind here, right? Everything that I am embracing, whatever belief that may be, right, that I'm embracing, is still in alignment with my values. My values, they may change here and there, but I have some pretty set in stone values that I base on which my morals and identity are founded on, right? So I'm not gonna go and do something, embrace something, disregarding where my values are just because it looks good, it sounds good, it may help someone out there. It's not how I go about discovering those tools.
yeah, I get it.
If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't fit, it's not for me.
Yeah. I guess for me, looking back when I was in my 20s, one thing that I guess my relationship or my view on relationships or women in general, or even myself as being a partner, like I never thought, like I always thought that being with one person was going to be enough ever. So there's always this open door that I left open for myself to either cheat or to pursue other girls or to do that. And that was even a projection out to me as being an older person. I was like, even if you get married now, like, hey, there's times when you're traveling, so like out of state doesn't matter. If you're on a boys trip, it doesn't matter. Leaving that door open as if that was okay behavior. I thought that was gonna be how I always viewed relationships or women or whatever it was. So that's definitely something that has changed for me over time. And that, cause what I was wrapping up and justifying that behavior really stemmed from a lack of self-control. You know, like I never saw a point where I would be able to control myself enough to not pursue that girl or to go and get that action. You know what I mean? Where it's like now time has progressed, there's a lot more self-control. I'm not at the mercy of just some good-looking chick that walks by or feeling like I need to pursue that.
Would you call that self-control, or you just now able to get validation of yourself from within?
Yeah, it would be both for sure. I definitely self-control and confidence. So definitely a lot more self-confidence, where it's like I know that there's other benchmarks to prove not only to myself but to my outward community of to feel validated. You know, where it's like back then, and there's still a lot of, like, don't get it, you know, there's a lot of older guys that still play that game, and they pat each other's backs because they did some dirt or whatever. But it's like that now is not a metric of validation for me in the circles that I run in, at least. You know, so one, that's what I use to feel good about myself. So now that wouldn't give me confidence. If I was to do that today, I wouldn't be more confident because I did that. I would be less confident.
Correct.
You know,
correct.
what I mean?
Because you jeopardized your integrity.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
maybe your partner will never find out about you misacting.
Yeah.
Right, on a temptation. However, that will haunt you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, because it's just it's out of alignment with the person that I'm trying to become, right? So like anything that deviates from that version is a step in the wrong direction. So that's something that for sure has changed over time. You know, there's been other shit that's been probably less important. You know, like I used to get super dogmatic about like diets. You know, where it's like paleo was the way to go. Or, you know, there was times when I spent, you know, this wasn't even too long ago. This is maybe 5 years ago, where like keto, it was all about keto, and like finding myself talking to everybody and their moms about this way of eating, which is so ridiculous to me now that we do that. So I'm kind of in the same boat with you, is where there's just like this openness. Like, even though there's something that I think that might work for me, I do not really have the need to try to convince too many other people, which in part is kind of a challenge, because we were talking earlier about, you know, even just shooting content and creating value. It's really tough to create content around a full-on open approach. You know, of like self-accountability and you tell me what's working for you, or what direction you want to go. And you know what I mean? And like, that's why there's so many people that just niche down and talk about things, right? Where it's like, my message, or one of the things that I think is really important, is a breathwork practice, or a better understanding the breath. But I won't share that content because I don't want to, I don't know. I want you to kind of discover that for yourself.
I don't believe that there is anything wrong with sharing experience, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing here. We are sharing our experience, right? I believe there's a fine line between sharing and pushing an agenda. I'm sharing, that's what I am today. This is what I'm experiencing today, with the hope, and this is what is working for me today. Yeah. With the hope, maybe someone out there who fits with the message may fits with, then can benefit from my sharing. But I'm not here to use my platform or future platform to push an agenda, because I know that next year I may be on a different path. Yeah. And I will be sharing I will be having a totally different conversation than from the one we're having today. Yeah. Maybe an upgrade from it, or maybe a totally different conversation. But that's what I have a problem with people who are using their platforms to push their agenda. And we were talking about before off camera, a few individuals out there that, went from, plant medicine now to embracing full force Christianity, which I'm totally for it. I'm totally, yes, great, that's great. Mm-hmm. However, now they are pushing that agenda onto their audience, not allowing their audience or trying to not allow their audience to experience for themselves. Yeah. Right? And making that conclusion themselves.
Yeah, and I think
demonizing whatever they were doing before.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you have a couple of these examples of people, and that been online mm-hmm. for a long time, and you see this change in them. Mm-hmm. And I guess sometimes in judging that transition and those changes, I'm then kind of limiting myself from putting things that I think are beneficial for myself out there because I don't want to be viewed as like a flip-flopper or something like mm-hmm. that. But largely the examples that we're talking about, in my opinion, they're not evolving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. They're almost evolving in what I would consider for myself mm-hmm. the wrong direction. And mm-hmm. that's me, again, judging the direction of their trajectory. Yeah. And there I am again, like judging, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like in an effort, because I don't want to necessarily yes. be judged, right?
Yes.
But it's just like, that's why I'm so hesitant to put stuff out, because I'm sitting back.
That is not a problem with judging. I believe judging is actually a very essential tool for us to adopt. It's not, there's nothing wrong with judging. It's totally fine. You judge that whatever is being shared, it's not for you. It doesn't fit your bill. Yeah. Right? You judge, or vice versa. I think judgment is absolutely a great tool. There's nothing wrong. Like, a lot of people, put this wrong connotation later, especially recently, this wrong connotation around judging. There's nothing wrong with judging. Maybe with shaming other people from going down a certain path with which we may not agree with. And then, that's probably not necessarily, morally sound. Mm-hmm. But I don't see any problem with judging, brother. I really don't. If I can judge, how am I going to make a decision for myself?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right, for sure. And I think, an extension of that, like, again, for me, I think I don't know if I mentioned it here before, but I've talked about it in the past. And it's like, not giving people enough space to like make mistakes, and like pointing things out and not, so in regards to, I guess, if we're back to like, say, sharing content, looking for errors when someone's like sharing advice or sharing their what's working well for them, kind of sitting back and be like, that's not right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, I don't want to sometimes put stuff out there because I'm imagining, this dick version of myself out there watching what I'm putting out there and being like, nah, that's not right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's the downside. What comes from judging, at least for me sometimes. And mm-hmm. If you do find yourself like being scared to share, I challenge you to maybe look at that component of yourself, because it is something that I've really noticed for myself, that when I become less judgmental, I'm able to create a lot more, mm-hmm. even when I'm going out, so I don't go out too often, but I've been trying to make an effort to like go and see some music shows and just get out a little bit more and live a little bit more. And, I told Laura we were just out a couple of days ago watching this show, and I'm standing back and I just see myself like at the, standing back kind of from the bar, just like arms crossed, just watching people. Like, I'm very observant, and I'm just like judging, but not in like a bad way necessarily. Mm-hmm. Just more like, dude, that person looks like they're having hella fun. Like, why are they having fun? Like, mm-hmm. what are they really having fun? They're not really having fun. There's no way. You know what I mean? But it's like,
because you were having fun.
But that motherfucker is not sitting back looking at anybody there or looking at me, even thinking about what I'm doing, they're having fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If I could just eliminate that and just have fun, but since I'm sitting back looking at everybody else, I'm then feeling like, oh, there's somebody sitting back looking at me, and they're going to be judging me for having fun. I'm fucking crazy.
This is the deal. Like watching someone like being in the same scenario as you, right? Now, I'm kind of like replacing you with myself, being there and observing someone having fun. That would be probably delightful to observe, but I will not allow that to determine my fun meter.
Yeah.
Right? I will not, if I'm not having fun, because whatever is going on with me, maybe I'm not in the right place at the right time, or, whatever that case may be, I'm not going to allow that to, if that, it's fun enough for me that's going to pull me towards that, yeah, by any means, but I'm not going to force myself to have fun because I want to replicate whatever I'm watching, or otherwise I feel that person behind me is judging me. It's I'm not.
Yeah, I think it just really like plays with like my curiosity sometimes. Is like, it just seems sometimes for people that it's just like so easy for them to let go. And I guess what I'm saying is like, I carry this, even though I've done a lot of work on this, I still feel like I'm the center of attention sometimes. I feel like everyone's staring at me or everyone's watching me, and therefore you just can't let go, and you can't just be there because you're like, there's somebody in the corner that's going to be like, oh, look at this little bitch dancing like a little fucking clown in the dance floor. Like, they're going to say that to me, right? And my point is why I think that way is because that's often me looking at somebody else having a blast. And even though now I'm not necessarily like being harsh and be like, oh, look at this little bitch having a fun on the dance floor. It's more of like, oh, look at this person. Like, they don't really give a shit about what people are thinking about. They're having fun. Yes. And then it's like, okay, then it's like this circle of like, okay, why can't you do that? But then it's also because of that, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. If shit, let me know if anybody else out there is like that, because, that's something that I fall down in that little rabbit hole sometimes.
Did you end up having fun that night or not?
No, I did have a lot of fun. Yeah. I mean, it was more, I definitely wasn't like dancing and shit like that, but it was more of like an appreciation of, I found myself appreciating everybody there. Like
the plant that hadn't kicked in yet at that point?
I actually had no mushrooms that day.
Okay.
I smoked? No, I didn't smoke any weed either, but that's probably why. The club soda just didn't do it for me. Put a little lime in there, just didn't do the trick. But no, I did catch that in myself, and I was just more appreciative. I'm appreciative of people that can be individuals and go and just like, do their thing, and even the musicians that were singing, I'm like just really appreciative of that. So there wasn't too much judgment outside of me judging myself for just being observant and just watching that. But, again, the things that sometimes we want to correct about ourselves or work on are also very closely tied to our super strengths too, which is me being observant like that is also why I can really connect with people and can have like a really good connection, because I've been sitting here watching you for 10 minutes and you had no idea that I've been watching you. So I know your body language. I know what's probably going to make you feel good and put a smile on your face, and I can go and deliver that because I've sat back at the cut and I know, I'm observant like that. So anyways, there's two sides to every coin of that.
So, and let me ask you the question again. I lost you there. So what was the belief that you had in your 20s that you no longer?
Well, one of them was, the main one that I shared was about, how I viewed women and how I viewed men that showed up in relationships. That cheating was all fine, and that was going to be okay, and that's the norm. It's okay, because we're not built to be with one person. We're here to spread our seed type of scenario, which, definitely not my viewpoints anymore.
Good. Yeah, it's, just to close, on that note real quick. I don't know if you saw my IG story from a few days back about me in a conversation.
I don't know.
Among three men.
No. Oh yeah. About his business partner.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a good one though.
Yeah, and I mean it's so I was there. I was at a poke place. I was getting lunch, and they have this like huge table right in the middle, and it's a share of you share the space pretty much. You share the table. So I was sitting in the corner, and those three guys were cutting corner from me, and one of them was just ranting, about his business, but one of them at least screwing him over on this deal, and and how fucked up that was, and how horrible of a person he was, regardless that he was cheating on his wife. He even walked out on his families, and and it was been going on for years and all that. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, what made you feel comfortable in the first place to get or staying into business with this individual, knowing that he was lacking in integrity in his romantic relationship, right? What made you? Were you sharing the same value as him?
Yeah.
That it was okay for him to screw other people's, but not you.
Yeah.
You just thought that he was going to hold his business relationship with you at a higher standard, higher level, and therefore he was not going to go to to screw you over.
Yeah. Right? That the values you have in one relationship are going to be the values you're going to carry with the other.
Correct. And and go with the way I know we can pick this apart, but the say goes, the way you do one thing in life is the way you do anything.
Yeah, one thing that I think about and I really try to work on now is a bit of what we talked about in another episode, the gossiping or the talking, kind of behind people's back, so like being impeccable with your word or not saying something behind somebody's back that you're not willing to say to their face, and then really trying to catch myself when I do that, because again, where I come from in regards to controlling a narrative or manipulating a situation or strategizing, some of that does happen, right? That's how you get people on your side type of thing, right? Yeah. But knowing again now it's like I don't like that. I don't want to do that that often, So really trying to nip that in the butt when I notice myself. And one thing that just really stands out that I can't remember where I heard this, but basically like the scenario where if there's three friends, right, or in the circle of the friends, if you're talking to friend A about friend C, or someone's talking shit to you, like they're sharing some shit about your friend to you, why do you think that person's not going to be sharing shit about you to the other friends, right? And I don't want to be that person where it's like, oh, I'm talking about somebody else, and then you lose that confidence or that trust within me. So like I catch myself, even the little things, I'm like, oh, well, this doesn't really matter, but it does kind of matter.
I remember where I picked it up from. I could have been from a movie. It could have been from, some of my street mentors from back in the days. And I remember them saying, okay, so you're telling me that so-and-so talk shit about me to you. Let me ask you this. Thank you, but let me ask you this. What made so-and-so comfortable to talk shit about me to you in the first place?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, that's the mentality that I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking about, when I'm talking about that, yeah.
Right? Why did he feel comfortable coming to you and talk shit about me to you? It means that he knows that you are not fully 100% in integrity with a relationship.
Or maybe he sees you as like the next boss, and now he's trying to get right with you. You know what I mean? So either way, it's a threat to that person who you're telling, and that you know what I mean. But that's why it's a concern of that person who's asking that, okay, well, now I do have this question, like, why is he sharing that with you? And, you know, that couldn't have, maybe that wasn't your intention, but now this guy sees that, because that, whether you did something or not to make that guy feel comfortable to share, maybe just the way you carried yourself was like why that person.
Yeah, but what is going to prevent that same guy to do the same thing to, like you say, to me, to someone else?
Yeah, and
I don't want that type of people on my side. I don't need that type of support.
Yeah.
Because that support is just like a sand dune. It's going to collapse under me.
Yeah.
So I don't need it. I don't need to create that type of support.
Yeah. But what could you have, like, hypothetically in that scenario, what could you have done? There maybe could have been some things that you could have done to have that individual not feel comfortable to confide in you, some of those things, but it could have been something.
So
you know
I would say stop right here. Stop right here. If you wanna have this conversation, let's bring the other person in.
Yeah.
Right? Or have that conversation direct to the other person.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to entertain this. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to you.
Yeah, no, I really like that approach, you know, and you know, and why I think I also am really trying to work on that, because in order to do that and say that thing, you have to make that person feel a little uncomfortable, where that's not necessarily a natural thing for me to do. My thing is to make you feel comfortable, to like me.
Yes.
Right. So it's
Correct.
like that. So
Correct.
really a point to kind of.
Yeah, and I don't need that type of like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need that type of like. I'm okay to not be liked by someone who's gonna probably down the road be betrayed. I'm gonna be betrayed by.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, I really catch myself a lot like thinking about that. It's like, would I say this in front of this person? Would you say this in front of the person?
And again, you know, this is a dichotomy, right? This is an approach that you kind of have to. You cannot always implement. You gotta, you know, kind of reading your audience and also understand, is it really worth to have this type of conversation with this person right now about this? Right? It's someone I don't care about. It's someone probably won't be around me for much longer.
Yeah.
Right? So do I gonna create this, you know, this type of energy right now for something that it's not necessarily gonna be around tomorrow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely got to weigh out the consequences. You got to manage your energy.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So yeah, well, let's wrap this up. And I think the takeaway for this episode is going to be around not getting so stuck in your dogmatic views, and keep a little bit of flexibility, and always share from a place of what's working well from you, and try to, you know, I know that doesn't always translate when, you know, we're of this world and we have businesses and we have to play some of the social media game, and so much of what you're consuming is 5 things that you have to do to lose weight. That's not really the narrative that we're talking about in this.
No,
because
you can
it's not just 5 things that you need to do to lose weight.
No, and you know, and you can still be passionate about what you're experiencing right now, and still be mindful of not pushing that agenda, right? And you can still be passionate. You can still, share from a place of passion and all that. But I also gotta leave room for other people to make their own decision and decide on their own. Because, you know, you as an influencer, you, especially in the social media world, where we have a certain type of influence. When I say we, not necessarily, you know, us, but, you know, other individuals out there who have a pretty significant platform. They have a pretty significant influence on people. They can have a pretty significant. So they have to be careful on how they go about this sharing. They can still be authentic and genuine. I'm not saying they got to hold back from it, but do not push that on, you know, that experience on other people and hold that as an absolute, because it's not. You are a living proof that it's you as a influencer are a living proof that it's not, because yesterday you were doing something totally different.
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave people to grow, leave people to kind of find their own journey, you know, and just share yours along the way. So if you want to share along our journey, follow me at Cub_Saldana. You can also reach out to me on Instagram there as well.
Strength Philosopher.
And then also the YouTube. This video is on YouTube, the full episode. So go check it out, Warrior Lab. Yeah, let us know. Give us a subscribe over there. And until next time, we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.